But welcome everybody. Thank you. I really appreciate you showing up this morning. And how many of you guys are actively doing open houses right now? Anybody?
Sorry, what's the question?
Yes.
How many of you guys are actively doing open houses like at the moment?
I am.
Yes.
I am.
Awesome. And are you guys having success, or what are you kind of seeing at the moment?
I feel like it's good to hold an open house because it helps you like reach out to the people face to face and have conversation with them, even if it's not the right, even if you didn't get any lead from there, but it's so good experience. I like it. Especially when you start doing like flyers, knocking on the doors around the house that you're holding the open house. It's like, I feel like it helps a lot.
Good. I'd love to hear that. That's awesome. It sounds like you're already doing some good things rather than just showing up with your signs and saying, okay, I'm here, and not really utilizing your time, rather than going somewhere and sitting somewhere for 2 hours and just like, cool, that was a waste of a Saturday.
Yeah, that way you feel like sometimes you build leads. If it's not recent, it might be in the future, and so on. Who knows?
No, totally. I love to hear that you have the right mindset surrounding open houses. So that's awesome. I will let you guys know that since I am in full screen, I'm not going to be able to monitor the chat. So if there's any questions, if you could just raise your hand and speak up, I'd really appreciate that. Or if I ask you guys a question, I'd love you guys to participate. If you guys could just speak up and talk, and if somebody else notices that there is, something in the chat that's a question, if you could just point it out to me, that would be awesome. Thank you. So I am Jessica Dunn. I am an agent in the Keller Williams Vaca Valley office here in Vacaville, California. I have been a realtor since October 2014. I started when I was 24. And so I was super young, and I was really heavy on open houses when I first started. I will tell you that most of my business when I first started came from either open houses or expired phone calls. So totally cold calling expired listings, which don't really exist anymore. And so for open houses, I had to figure out how to get super intentional, because in the beginning I was just showing up and, I was, like I said, wasting a Saturday and sitting there for 2 hours. And that's super discouraging and not a way that I wanted to spend my weekends, that's for sure. But if you can be super intentional with your open houses, from prepping to while you're there to the follow-up afterwards, you can get tons and tons of business from it. A little bit about my business. So I started a team in 2016 with my business partner, Masumi Purdy, and we built up to have 3 agents at one time with a director of operations. We are currently at 2 agents on our team with a director of operations, and my business partner recently expanded to Idaho because she moved to Idaho. So we have a California business and we have an Idaho business. Our team name is Dunn Purdy & Co. I would love to follow you guys on Instagram if you guys want to type your handle in the chat. I'll check it out later. I put mine as the title if you guys want to connect for referrals. We did about 30 million in sales volume last year, which is like 5 houses for you guys in Santa Clara, but it was about 60 units here in Vacaville. So that's just a little bit about me and where my business is currently. I will say that I give open house opportunities to the 2 agents on my team as of right now. But in the very beginning of my business, for the majority of the years, I was very hardcore with open houses and just using them and making sure that I was using them as a lead generation tool rather than just, this is what we do, we hold a house open. So that's just a little bit about me. I will say another thing when I first started is I took Ignite 3 times in a row when I first started. So it was being taught in my market center. I just showed up and I just pretended like that was my job because I had absolutely no business. So I really commend you guys for going through Ignite. I will say going through it multiple times and having the different perspectives from the different agents was super helpful for me, and taking it over and over and over to kind of stick it in my brain and acting like that was my job was like the number one thing that put me into production. So good job, guys. I'm glad you're here, and let's begin. Okay, so, oh wait, I'm supposed to ask. What would you guys like to share that you're grateful for so far in this journey that we're learning in Ignite? Anything at all?
Yes, the way that it's set up, like grow your business, we started it like that to build your business. It's lead generation, and the way that you taught us guys, it's like that's how you start your journey. I believe it start like it's in a good standing condition, and then how you run the business also. It's very fantastic and helpful for us. It's like when you start, especially also on the market center, on command, how you add the leads and how you follow up. It's like how you set yourself up. And from there, when you start your business busy and you feel like something, it helps you up, something backing you up. Yeah, for me, I love it. I like it. And we're crossing our finger because
Yeah,
I'm
and
new. I'm still
that's like
new.
yeah, no, but it sounds like you're doing all the right things, and that's like the best part about Keller Williams, right? Everybody's like
Yes.
sharing,
Correct.
collaborative, what can I do to help you? Like that's the best part. That's why I started here and I'm still here, the culture for sure. So today we are going to talk about lead generation for buyers and sellers through open houses. And literally, I mean, that's possibly the number one important thing. I wouldn't say open houses, period, but lead generation through them, because if we don't have buyers or sellers, what are we doing? I mean, I guess we could go preview real estate for funsies if we wanted to, but really having a business, we need buyers and sellers, right? Right, perfect. Definitely the most important thing. So talking about the benefits of open houses. So why do we hold open houses? To sell the house or to get new clients?
I would say both.
Both.
Both. Correct. Good job. Pass. Definitely both. I mean, for the most part, you're looking for new buyers and sellers, and sometimes the buyer will be at the open house and you'll find them there and you'll get to sell the house and have new buyers and sellers. But most of the time, the people that are coming are going to be long-term clients, people who aren't exactly ready right this second, or possibly even people in the neighborhood that are looking to list their house. So in the very beginning, I definitely had a lot of people who would come in and they're like, oh, I really want to buy this house. And then I always ask, do you have a house to sell? What's your current situation? And sometimes they would have a house to sell. So it would be a list and a buy situation. Some other reasons. What are some other benefits that you can think of? For me personally, the perception that you're busy, that's a benefit. If you're constantly posting on social media, come to this open house, look at me here, this is what I'm doing, the perception is that you're busy, right? And people are attracted to that. Some exposure. So you have your marketing out there. Those are definitely key benefits. Let's see. Anything else that you guys can think of?
A very good excuse to door knock.
That is a great point, Thelma. Sometimes knocking on people's doors for no reason is awkward.
Yes.
This is welcomed. This is an invitation. This is come check out my open house. So those are definitely some of the benefits that we have. A couple of other ones, inexpensive. You don't really have any upfront costs, depending on maybe if you're having little trinkets, if you're having takeaways. Typically with your market centers, I'm not sure about Santa Clara, but typically there's like open house signs that you can borrow. So definitely inexpensive. A high return on investment for sure with your exposure, qualifying leads from one listing, and it's a productive way to meet buyers and sellers. Open houses are just trump anything else for me when it comes to lead generation, except connecting with your database, I would say. Because open houses, you're in front of people face to face where you're able to build rapport. They're there for a reason. They're there like, they want you to talk to them, to ask questions. They, you know, they might have questions about the house rather than just like, when was the last time that you got a cold call that you were super jazzed to like answer and talk to? Not I'll tell you that. So open houses is a great way to be in front of people with warm leads. It says here that NAR's 2019 profile of home buyers and sellers that 51% of all buyers used an open house source when actually purchasing their house. So 51% of buyers are out there looking at open houses. Like that's huge when your number one job is lead generation. Get yourself out there, get yourself in front of these people. And I will say it's probably the fastest way that you can lead generate. Those people are typically there raising their hand saying, hey, this is what I'm ready for. I'm here for this house, whatnot. And if you don't have an open house to host, you can always post in your market center, ask people to hold their listings open. You don't technically have to have a listing to do an open house. So open house prospecting model. So open houses are definitely a prospecting activity. So this is really where I want to emphasize that like planning is key. You want to get the most exposure and the most bang for your buck. The worst thing you can do is really just show up and just like have your signs and nothing else. Like you want to have the exposure ahead of time when it comes to social media. Here, the newspaper is popular still, don't judge us. So they have like a total open house section, but mostly social media is where we're going to be doing our most exposure. And through that, that's prospecting on its own, right? So you're prospecting ahead of time with your ads, and then you're prospecting when you're there as well. So having a systematic way to kind of go through that. Like I said, preparing, prospecting, and pursuing. So the prepare part is when you're setting up for your open house. You're getting your kits ready, you're getting your schedule, you're getting your plan of where you're going to put your signs, which I'm going to go into a little bit later. And then the prospecting aspect of it is when you're promoting it, so through the ads, like I said previously, and when you're actually there, when you're hosting the open house, and like the questions that you're asking, the way that you're trying to capture their information, which we'll go into further as well. And then the pursue part is probably the most important part that a lot of people drop the ball on. And that's when you're trying to follow up and you're converting these people that you're meeting. So make sure you're not wasting the opportunity of meeting these people, getting their information, and then following up with them. So our team kind of has I'm going to call it a wish list of the perfect open house and what that looks like. And that's like, you get balloons, you're putting your signs out, you have music ready, you have a candle, so it smells good, you have all of your promotional information, you're going to door knock 50 houses before you're there. Like all of these things that would make the perfect open house. And I'm going to say about 80% of that usually happens when we're doing open houses, but at least we made a list and at least we implemented it. And I will say that that is better than just, again, showing up with nothing. But I'm sure you guys have seen this a bunch of times, right? Okay. I'm going to kind of show you the Keller Williams kind of checklist for a perfect open house for preparing and whatnot. So some of this might not be super realistic too, I'm going to be honest with you, just with how the market is in this moment of time. And there's ways that we can tweak it. And our markets are slightly different. So I'm going to be speaking to the market that I know here in Vacaville. And I'm sure your guys' is just like amplified in Santa Clara. So typically Monday, you're trying to figure out what open house you're going to do. There's nothing on the market, so you haven't found anything. Tuesday, you're still looking for an open house to do, but you know houses usually hit the market like Wednesday, Thursdays here in Vacaville. So Tuesday, you're still looking for open houses. I will say that what works really well for me and what I highly suggest you guys do is that you build rapport with the seasoned agents in your office. Usually the seasoned agents in your office hate open houses. So they want people to come and, you know, host open houses for them. So I think it's super important to go to your association meetings, go to your office meetings, show up, make sure that people like know who you are. For Santa Clara, what are you guys at for like COVID restrictions? Are you guys all the way back in the office, or what's that like? Yeah, all the way back in the office. Cool.
Yeah, back in the office.
Nice. So make sure you're going to your team meetings. Make sure that you're, you know, introducing yourself to seasoned agents, because that's where you're going to get the opportunities to get the open houses. How big is your market center?
It's a pretty good size. I'm not exactly sure how many agents are there.
But probably like hundreds, like a couple hundred maybe.
I think
About
at least
100.
100.
I think 120.
120. Okay, that's about similar about ours too. Ours is about the same. So getting into those office meetings and meeting those seasoned agents is like, that was key when I first started too, of like, they thought of me. My Kim on my team, she does a really good job about that. So it's like, you're the person they think of when you have open houses. So putting yourself in front of those people, because that's going to be the opportunity for those coming soon listings that you don't even know about right at the time, especially right now in such the market, the inventory. So yeah, posting on, and do you guys have a Facebook group where you can post and try to find open houses? Okay, cool. So posting on Facebook, those are just some of the things or ways that you can get coming soon listings. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you're going to want to post on social media all of those days leading up to it. Personally, I would do like a reel, a post, a Facebook post, like mix up the content. And it's also super easy to just go through and do a social media campaign through command. Door knocking, usually the day before, inviting people on really nice listings. We like to do like a neighborhood preview for the first hour, and then the second 2 hours is a general open house. So then only the neighborhood and the neighbors know about the first hour when you invite them. It's nice to maybe have some wine and cheese, you know, some nice little setup. And then for that hour, you're like strictly, you know, it's only neighbors. You can build rapport with them. You're kind of like on showcase at that point in time of like, hey, look, this is what I do for listings. If you're ever thinking about selling your house, like this is how I present my listings. So that's when you want to make sure that you have everything kind of on point. But those are like listing opportunities as well, and how you can kind of interview for them, I guess I would say, because they're looking to see what you're doing for sure when the neighbors are coming in. Putting out all your signs. As far as signs go, I will say that you always want to make sure that you have 2 points of entry. So that might be 10, 12, 15, 20 signs at some points in time. But if you have 2 thoroughfares that are near wherever you're hosting the open house, you want to make sure that you get the most exposure. Because a lot of people that, I think about 50% of people from NAR, the report saying is that 50% of people who popped into an open house was complete impulse. So that's just like, hey, I saw the sign and here I am. So signs are definitely important. A couple things to think about as well in planning for success is the location, the time, the traffic patterns, and local practices. So what that means is, and again, this kind of goes back to the market though, because personally, if I'm doing open houses and I want to capitalize on them, I'm doing them consistently. Like I am finding houses, doing them, might not be the best location. And when you have the opportunity and you have multiple listings on the market, going through and targeting that, you know, neighborhoods that are more desirable, or ones that are by a school, and maybe holding an open house in a house right when school gets out, like that's a huge opportunity. So just kind of figuring out, it might be something like that might be better than doing an open house on a super busy street where there's no parking. Like who wants to try to go for that? So trying to, and again, it's slim pickings right now. So I would value this, and consistency I would probably trump, to be honest. Okay. So role model door knocking. I guess you guys kind of skip over these at the moment. Do you guys want to hear this, or do you guys have this in your packet?
Hey, Jess, sorry. Can I backtrack really quick? You said it was
Yeah.
location, time, traffic patterns, and what again?
Location, time, traffic patterns, and local practices.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Of course. Do you guys have any questions surrounding any of that, or any input or things that you have found that have worked better for you, or maybe not so much? Any personal experiences? Nah. Cool. All right. No problem. Okay. I'm gonna read this to you guys because I think it is kind of beneficial. We don't have to role play it or anything, but I do like to hear the scripts to show you kind of how easy it is to go and door knocking before the open house. So, okay, so this is inviting the neighbors. Hello, this is Jessica Dunn with Dunn Purdy & Co. and KW Vaca Valley. I'm at your door because the Joneses have asked me to invite you to their open house on their home at 437 Karima Court tomorrow at 3 p.m. Feel free to bring somebody with you from work or a friend or relative that might be interested in buying in your neighborhood. By the way, when I find a buyer, I like to be able to share with them what people like about the neighborhood. May I ask you, what is it that you like about the neighborhood? Super easy question. They're definitely going to answer. If they say, I hate this neighborhood, then get them to sell their house. Opportunity right there. Excellent. And if you were to move, where would you go to next, and where would that be? So it's just kind of an easy way to build rapport with the neighbors, and I definitely think that it is worth it. So, yes, Nama?
I just want to share my experience with
Please do.
doorknocking. I like doing it. At first, I thought I'm gonna die, but with somebody I was shadowing at one time. But anyway, I got used to it and I like it. But this is the first time I heard about there is a script in door knocking, and usually some they would entertain you and open the door wide and ready to engage with a longer conversation. But usually they open their door just very little bit for you to give them your flyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of them are like that. But I never had somebody who yell at me, or, because I have a big smile when they open the door. So
Exactly.
I thought it was an instant death experience for me the first time, but it was not. The worst situation I had is when somebody was working in their garage and I was approaching her and she said, "Don't approach me." I said, "Okay, you have a good day."
Yeah.
Keep
See?
on. One time, yeah. So
And that's the worst thing that happened to you?
that's the worst thing happened to me.
You're good.
Surprisingly. I
You're
thought
good.
going to it when I was shadowing, what's her name? I forgot her name now. I said, "Do not leave me. Do not leave me. This is my death yet." And she said, "You're going to be fine." She came with me 4 houses. And then after that, we split. She went to the other side and I went to the other side. I said, "Oh, that was not bad."
Good job. That's good. I commend you for doing that, because it is scary knocking on someone's door. But when you greet them with a smile, you have something, you're giving them an invite, you're giving them some information. Let's be real too. People are nosy. They want to see their neighbors' houses. It's like, so they're going to come to that open house and they're going to see it. Most people are like that. Or you never know if somebody is looking to have, a family member move near them. So the neighbors are definitely, I would probably say half the time are the ones that end up bringing someone to the neighborhood.
That's true.
So thank you for sharing, Thelma. I'm glad that you didn't die. Okay, so talking about prospecting and spreading the word through the social ad campaigns, has anybody ran any social ad campaigns here through Command? Raise of hand. Not one person. Oh, thank you, Kylie. Whew, I was about to say. Mila, thank you. Okay, here we go. So we have some people familiar with campaigns, but I am going to kind of talk about them a little bit. So let's see. I will say and I guess this is my limiting belief with Command. I was the market center tech trainer for a long time. And so I'm very familiar with Command, the ins and outs. The designs could be better. The actual designs are very pretty. They look really, really nice. But the act of editing them can become cumbersome if it's not working correctly. So I will let you know that don't let that be a limiting belief. There's many other ways that you can run campaigns. I hate when, I shouldn't say hate, but it really sucks when someone gets caught up on one thing if Command's not working and saying, oh, it sucks, it's not good, I'm not going to use it. That's not the thing. You can find loopholes, you can find creative ways to use it, and it's a really powerful tool that I wish I had when I first started. So using the campaigns, even if you throw in a graphic from Canva, if that's like your vibe, you can take the graphic from Canva, you can upload it to the social ad campaigns. There's many ways that you can go about it. And once you go through this, you want to make sure that you're choosing the event awareness because you're promoting your open house. And then you can do a campaign through Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. I will say that Facebook is probably the most, for me personally, the campaigns that I've ran, Facebook has been the better out of all three of them. I've done combination with Facebook and Instagram, but usually the leads are coming from Facebook. And then you can target your demographics on the next page, and you want to make sure that you're targeting kind of an area of interest and maybe anybody who's looking for, you know, realtor.com, Zillow, any of those interests, because those interests are the people who are typically looking to purchase. But let's talk about when you are kind of at the open house, because we kind of talked about enough promoting how important that is and how you can get leads beforehand. But then while you were there, you want to make sure that you're building rapport, you're qualifying the leads through questions, and you're providing value. Those are your main jobs when you're at the open house. Building rapport, greeting everybody that walks in the door, making sure that everybody signs in, taking advantage of that one-on-one FaceTime that you have, that opportunity. Qualifying leads. So when you're there, you're asking probing questions. Some of the questions that I like to answer, and I'll tell you, I was super shy when I first did open houses. I would be the agent that was just like, welcome in, just on my phone. Like I would just be super nervous to talk to people. I just thought they didn't want to talk to me. And that is so not true. The number one question for me that I used that really worked well for me, and it was because I'm not a hard, like, hey, welcome in, are you working with an agent? Like that's not my vibe. I'm more soft approach, and it doesn't have to be that, but you do want to make sure that you're not losing the opportunity to ask those questions. So for me, the probing questions, and the number one thing that worked really well for me is this simple script. What brings you by today? I ask every single person that comes into that open house, what brings you by today? Because you don't know. It could be a neighbor. They could say, I just saw the sign and I was curious. They could say, oh, I'm a neighbor. My friend's, looking in the neighborhood. Or like, oh, my agent sent me here. Like you can learn a lot of different information just by asking that one question. What brings you by today? Another thing I like to ask is, you want to kind of like go deep with it, and you want to keep asking questions that are open-ended, because that's going to keep the conversation going, rather than just like, can I do anything for you? No. Okay, I'll be in the kitchen. You know what I mean? Just, I'm here. And so if you say like, hey, what brings you by today? And they're like, oh, we're just house shopping, we're looking for something bigger. And you're like, oh, something bigger, what are you currently living in? Do you currently own? Then you say, yeah, I currently own a house over in Browns Valley, but we need more space because I'm pregnant with twins. And you're just like, oh, you're pregnant with twins? That's awesome. Do you have any other kids? Like, it's easy to just keep the ball rolling with these questions. And the more that they talk to you, the more that how comfortable they are. And it's really just about asking questions. You don't want to be like, are you working with an agent? Not those questions. Like, that's not the way to ask it. That's an instant, like, I just want your business and I don't care about anything. You want to make sure that you're making them feel like you're caring about their needs and their wants, rather than like, why are you here today? Do you want to make an offer on this house? Are you working with an agent? And I've been to open houses before where people act like that. And I'm like, oh, no, thanks. Another thing you can ask is, instead of, this is my soft approach for asking, are you working with an agent? I will say, have you written any offers yet? And so if they say, yeah, we're on our 4th offer. There goes my light. Sorry, guys. Hold on. I'll say, have you written any offers yet? And they're just like, yeah, I've written 4 offers already. We keep getting beat out. At that point in time, I'll say, oh, who are you working with? Because I took the time to kind of meet a lot of agents in the area. They'll say, oh, I'm working with John Smith. Oh, you're in great hands. John's awesome, right? So then building rapport still. You still want to build rapport with those people who are working with agents and don't write them completely off. You just never know. We had, so we did something crazy. Do you guys know, have you guys heard of the 66-day challenge? No? Maybe. So Gary Keller says it takes 66 days to build a habit. And so if you do something for 66 days in a row, that it becomes second nature at that time, and that's how you build habits. So me and my business partner, this is crazy, we really wanted to get like really good at open houses, because that was our key focus for our business. That's where most everybody came from. So we did 60 open houses in 66 days. 60 open houses in 66 days. It was insane. But let me tell you, by the end of those 66 days, we were pros. We forced ourselves. We were in it. I don't even think the inventory exists anymore to be able to even do that. But that was
weekdays too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Wednesday nights. Those are really good days. Wednesday nights. I mean, Saturday morning, Sunday. I would just try any times, to be honest. But we did Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday nights even sometimes. And making them, we did one on Super Bowl. We had like a Super Bowl party. Like it was pretty fun. So having themes, making it fun, is definitely a plus. So those are just some creative things that you could do. And then once you also providing value. So what our team does is we like to have a couple of QR codes set up in little plastic thingies. And one of the QR codes will go to the home disclosures. It can go to comps. It can go to neighborhood information. So like even having a Dropbox folder with those things in it, and then having them scan a QR code, and then have them entering their information in order to get access to that Dropbox file, to have all that information, because everybody wants disclosures on the house, right? Oh, we have a full disclosure package available. You know, would you like it? Just scan this QR code. You're good to go. And now everybody knows how to use QR codes because of COVID. So it's great. It's a really easy way to capture people's information if somebody is giving you any pushback about signing in or whatnot. So that's pretty awesome. And then we'll have a second QR code set up too for anybody that's wanting to know kind of what their house might be worth. So trying to capture seller leads as well. Does anybody have any struggle with having people sign in? Any pushback, any objections?
I do have a question. Do people typically rather scan the QR code to be able to get that information, or are they like any of them hesitant to like they don't want to sign in, or do you notice one over the other?
Recently, I will say that the QR code is easier. People are just, sure, I'll do it. And then we have our disclosure link set up where you have to enter your information to get access. So entering your information is super simple. And people want that value more so than them not wanting to sign in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I gotcha. So about the QR codes, is that something that it lasts like indefinitely, or do they expire? Do you have to go through a third-party website to keep it active?
Yeah, so we use a third-party website. It's called qrgenerator.com, and it is something that we pay for. The QR codes that you generate they can expire, they can stay the same. You have complete control over them. And I think you have like a crazy amount that you can have at one time with the paid service. They do have a free version as well, but I think you can only have maybe 1 or 2 at one time. But that QR code, you can keep it the same. You can change the link. Like it's a live, it's a live thing that you can update on the back end. I think it's
Oh,
QR.
gotcha. So if you have like a subscription and say that you create these QR codes and then you cancel the subscription, are the QR codes still valid? Do they still work?
No.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, if somebody has the link already, then the link is still going to be there, but that live QR code to scan it won't scan to anything.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, good question. Thank you. Does anybody, I'll put the QR code website that we use in the chat after I'm done. So if anybody's curious and wants to check it out. So does anyone have any objections about people signing in? Do you guys use the line like, hey, this is safety, the seller wants to know, who's in their house and can you sign in? I always, whenever I have a sign-in sheet, I always do 2 fake names at the top. So then it looks like everybody, they're like, oh, this person signed in, I guess I'll sign in too. Anybody?
I have pushback sometimes with people signing in, and I get fake email addresses too, or just like people kind of scribbling, like if they don't really want to sign in, but I'm kind of pressuring them to a certain degree because I'll mention the safety of the home, yeah. And then, it's like Chinese arithmetic, trying to figure out what that email address is or the telephone number because they really didn't want to sign in the first place. But I really like that QR code. That seems the most simplest.
Yeah, because then also if you're providing value, like I said, they're more willing to give up a little information for your information that you're providing. Are you asking them to sign in like right when they come in the door?
I've tried both ways. Sometimes I'll ask them to sign in upon entering, depending upon if I can catch them, if I'm not already engaged in conversation. And then sometimes I just kind of let them free flow around. And then I just ask them to sign in. We're trying to keep a count of who's entering the property, that type of stuff.
Yeah, I've definitely found more success with building rapport ahead of time and then asking them to sign in as they're leaving. That's just me personally, because they're just a little bit more comfortable. That's just works better for me in the past because they're like, okay, I'm talking to you. She's nice. Like, of course, yeah, I'll just sign in. It's fine. And sometimes I'll say too, if people are rude and they don't want to talk to you, just let them be. Like, it's not worth it. You don't want to work with that person anyways. You know what I mean? So in the sense of like gathering as much information as possible, or like possibly working with, a jerk off anyways, like, that's, I don't know. The people who come in, and I will say though, when I do ask people, hey, what brings you by? And they're like, I have an agent, don't talk to me. And I'm like, I'll just be like, whoa, I'm not trying to steal you. Like, I'll make a joke about it, right? So then it's a little bit more casual, and it's a little bit it's not so like, whoa. And so some people are just like that, and I just let those people be.
Yeah, I actually, not to hold you, but I'm really surprised that a lot of clients that go look at properties without their agents.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now why that's super relevant and why that's happening often, and this is just my opinion, is that because houses are going so fast and they're like, I have to see it now. Like, I have to see this open house now. And so I'm just going to go without my agent and let them know, I have an agent, and go from there.
Oh, okay.
That's just my opinion, but I don't know. I could be wrong. Okay, so this is another way that you can capture people super simply, and giving them information, and it goes directly into your command database and your contacts. So that is creating a landing page for open houses. So has anybody done this before? Can I see a raise of hands? Because this is pretty cool. Not one. No. Okay.
I tried it, but it didn't work.
All right, well, perfect.
And then once I left the open house, it worked. It would not. I don't know what was going on. And I had Wi-Fi, so I'm going to try it again.
Yeah, this is like this is my favorite way. Like I'll walk around with my iPad and I'll just have this and I'll just ask people to sign in. It goes directly into my database. You can set it up to have automatic tags. You can set it up to have automatic campaigns also, or smart plans. So as soon as somebody fills this out, it'll go into your database, it'll tag them as a lead, it'll tag them as Open House Sequoia or whatever you want that tag to be, so you know where the person came from. It's just a really easy way to get people into your database without like a second step of a piece of paper. So I'm going to show you quickly how to make a landing page for your open houses if you guys are interested. Yeah, cool. Okay. So let's see.
Landing page, is this on a Facebook?
No, so this is in Command.
Man, okay.
Yeah. So let me share my other screen. And then. Okay, does everybody see Command? Perfect. Okay, so in Command, when you're here, I am going to go down to Consumer on the bottom left side. So those are where your collections live, your agent website lives, your landing pages, all of your consumer-based website stuff lives here. So I'm going to go up to the top right, and I'm going to create a new page. I'm not going to, not on my agent side, I'm not going to mess with my website. I'm going to create a landing page. So create page, it brings you to this widget here. And so this is where you kind of customize it. So you can title this house sign-in sheet. And then I'm going to put my branded header at the top. And all you do is you take the widgets, you drag and drop them. I'm going to put the listing information. And then I'm going to make sure that I put in that lead form. And none of this is relevant right now. You're just going to see default information that's here. So we're not talking about Hilltop View. Don't worry, we're going to edit that in a moment. You're just putting the widgets over and then we're going to edit them next, okay? So here, I'm going to have that, and then I'm going to do a legal footer just so it looks like a nice website from top to bottom. So after I add the widgets that I want, I'm going to configure the widgets here. So the branded header, phone number, email, name, everything looks good. Save and apply. And then I'm going to go to the next one. So the listing. So this is where you're going to browse listings. And I'm going to pull up one of our listings at the moment. Pulls from all MLS. So this is pending at the moment, but I'm just going to use it. Oh, not that one. I'm going to use it as an example. And then here it pulls up all the photos from the MLS. So I can go ahead and pick whichever one I want. I'm going to use that front picture. I'm going to hit save and apply. And this is when you're going to see that it populates over here. So there's the information. I'm going to move on to the next. Instead of interested, let's talk. I'm going to say, please sign in, just because that's more relevant. And then you have name, email address, leave a note if you'd like, and that's pretty much it. Here's your footer. I'm going to publish the page, and let's hope it works. I tried this before the class and it didn't work. It started like, it just sort of cycled forever. It might be a command bug, and it still works. Sometimes your apps don't work and you have to restart them. Don't blame command. It's just technology. Okay, well, it looks like it's going to be unstuck. So I'm going to show you one that I've made in the past. So that's the process of making it. Super simple, right? I made it in like 3 minutes. And so here's one that we've used in the past. And so it'll give you a URL that you just go to. And this one, literally, I had no listing information. I just wanted just them to sign in. So this is all it was. And if I put my information in here, say I'm not a robot, once I go into my command, it'll show up as someone in my database. So this is a really nice, sleek way to get people to sign in. I'm a big fan, but it's really simple to make. I know I went a little fast, but I wanted to kind of break off and show you guys that. So any questions?
No.
Perfect. Okay, so that's the landing pages, and then safety. So let's talk a little bit about safety. You always I always encourage the girls on our team, anyone around me, to have 2 people there if you can. I know sometimes it's really hard to have 2 people there, but here are just a couple things to kind of think of. So parking on the street, not parking in the driveway. You don't want someone to block you in. Meeting the neighbors when you're door knocking, introducing yourself. Never turn your back on a prospect. Establish an escape route. Let someone know where you are and when you're done. And then make sure that you have your cell phone always charged. You just want to make sure that you're being safe and you're being smart too. There's a lot of weird people out there, and you never want to go into like, look at the walk-in closet, come murder me. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be in a closed room with somebody. You want to make sure that you're staying. Usually what I like to do is have my eyes on a couple exits. The kitchen's usually a safe place. You can have your back to something so you can see all of your surroundings. There's definitely been some weird things that have happened and weird stories that have happened. And so you just want to make sure that you're always aware and you're always alert. One of my friends told me this story. When she was a young agent, she was doing an open house down in the Bay Area, and this really weird man came in, and she was like, come on in, look at the house, here we are. And he was following her around, and then she turned her back, she turned towards him, and all of a sudden he was like, oh, I really like your shoes. And she was like, thank you. Before she knew it, he was on the ground massaging her foot. Yes. And so there's a lot of weird people out there. So it's very, and I was like, did you kick him in the face, please? But there are a lot of weird people, and just make sure that you're aware, and you just never know. So safety is super important. In your toolkit, you do have a safety checklist of all of the things to, let me see, I think I have it open actually. So this is kind of a good rule of thumb to make sure that you're using when you're open houses. So park where you can't get blocked in, meet the neighbors, check your phone, keep it light, have all the lights on, escape routes, set up for safety. Make sure you keep your valuables and stuff in your car, or leave them at your house if you don't need them. Check your guests as they arrive. Don't turn your back on anybody. Don't go into the certain rooms, like I said, the walk-in closets or a room with no escape exit. And then if you can't have more than one person there, that's definitely something that you want to do if possible. Okay, let's get back into it. So after open houses, following up. So you always want to make sure that when you are with your, are you guys back to the presentation? Okay, cool. So you want to make sure that you're following up and you're converting the people. I would say the most important thing is to take notes on people and to categorize them. So A, B, or C buyers, right? 30 days, 60 days, maybe some months, or even longer, long-term nurture. So when it helps for me is when I'll take notes on my phone. So when I'm chatting with people, I'll take notes on like, this lady was pregnant, looking to downsize or looking to upsize, and Like I will take notes while I'm there on the people, so I know kind of who they were, and I'll add those to my database. I think that's super important for you to remember kind of who they are, what they're looking for, and it makes them feel important too when you reach out and you remember, hey, thanks for coming to my open house. Good luck with the birth of your twins. Yada, yada. So it's something that makes them feel special, makes them feel heard, makes them feel remembered. And that's really key with building rapport as well. And then making notes too on their time frame, so you know how to treat them in your database. So when I say know how to treat them, I'm talking about, the best practices for following up with people. So your best practices, your best practice, this was during the open house still. So these are some creative ideas that they had before the follow-up piece, where I thought this was pretty interesting too. So hosting a speaker, so like having a stager there, or having, who else would be beneficial? A home inspector, or even a lender, I guess, could be a speaker where they have, you know, their own pieces of value that you can offer to people. I thought that was pretty interesting. I've had lenders there before where they can ask lending questions too. That's kind of the same sense, but having another vendor there is kind of interesting. Offering a gift, so doing a giveaway. People love that. There was one market center that did a scavenger hunt. So they did a scavenger hunt within their market center. They had 9 open houses between everybody that weekend. They created a list of a scavenger hunt, and whoever went to all 9 open houses and found whatever items that they put on the scavenger hunt was entered to win an iPad. So I thought that was pretty cool. So those are fun things that you can do to get people to go in. And then giveaway stuff. So, you know, there's a lot of ideas on Pinterest for takeaways at open houses. If you ever just go on Pinterest and type in open house takeaways, there's a lot of fun information. And then going live on social media while you're there, that's always beneficial, because then you can get online eyes as well as the people that are there, I will say. Smells matter when you're there. Having a nice candle is good. You always want to check with your seller though, if that's okay. There was one time where we used a nice smelling candle and the seller came in and was like, oh my God, it smells terrible. So she hated it. So make sure that you always check with your sellers if it's okay to do those things. Having some nice music is always good. You know, like I said previously, balloons on signs just to get people in. And then a couple of things to do and don'ts of open houses. So welcoming people, getting the house in good shape, of course. I've even found myself, you know, sweeping off the porch when I'm there, because the very first thing is when people walk up, you see the home, and it's just the way that it's presented. You want to make sure that it's, you know, the curb appeal. It's their first impression when they're walking in. If there's a whole bunch of weeds on the porch, you know, that's not a good look. Don't leave valuables exposed. Always, always, always tell your sellers to put away their jewelry, their costume jewelry, even their medications. People have gone in and stolen medications. So just making sure that things are tucked away. And don't ever make assumptions about people, you know, stay curious. That's always the thing that I always say, is just stay curious and just ask questions. Here is a fun little kit that you can have. Business cards, making sure you have a phone charger, measuring tape, trash bags, tissues, air fresheners, pens, paper towels, toilet paper, disinfecting wipes. Those are all good things to have in a little open house kit. I think it is beneficial to have a little open house kit, having some waters in there, all of these things, just to make sure. You never want to be stuck without toilet paper. I mean, you don't typically want to use the bathroom in an open house and, you know, emergency happen. But it's always nice to just be a little extra prepared. So back to the follow-up. This is where, you know, this is where the magic happens. This is where you don't want to drop any balls. So categorizing your people, making sure you're taking notes, A, B, C buyers, and making sure that you are treating them as such where they are. So do they need houses sent to them? Do they need to be put on a long-term nurture? Do they need to be put on an 8x8 campaign to be right in front of them the entire time? You have to know how to categorize them in order to how to treat them in your database. So I will say that following up right away with everybody, asking for feedback is always a really easy call, a really easy email even, or a text message like, hey, thank you for coming into the open house. My seller is requesting feedback. What did you think of the house? Do you mind sharing? So that's a really easy way to call someone and build some more rapport. And making sure, like, a handwritten note with that little thing that you remembered about them, like that, you know, that's definitely key. And I would say that don't let the people who are 6 months out go. Those are going to be your bread and butter. Those are the people that are going to be your clients for life, in the sense of, like, you kept in touch with them for 6 months, you know, after an open house, and that could lead to lots of business in the future. So following up, key. Prep. So kind of just to recap, prepping, capitalizing on the before marketing while you're there, and then the follow-up. That's kind of the magic. Do we have any ahas? Sorry, I'm 1 minute over. Any questions, any ahas you'd like to share, anything that you're like, that sounded cool, I'm going to implement that, anything at all?
The command using the sign in for it, being able to add the additional information for them to see to make value, and implementing the QR code, because that seems to be a little more like, it just sounds like folks are more willing to use the QR code than to physically write down their name. Like,
Totally. Let me get that QR code website for you guys really quick and I'll put it in the chat. What else? Anything else? Thank you for sharing.
Hi, Jessica. This is Deepak.
Okay.
Quite a few ahas for me today. Of course, the neighborhood landing page. Also, how do you initiate conversations at open houses with prospective clients, and how do you, just like you said, asking open-ended questions, just personalizing it, like let them lead, but at the same time have a purpose behind all your questions and stuff like that. I mean, I'm new. I still don't have any open houses yet. Neither I'm planning, neither I have anything scheduled to go with anybody yet. But yeah, all these tips are really helpful. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm glad that you got that value from that. And yeah, as long as you, I mean, if you start with your open houses, like with those questions and with that intention from the get-go, like it's gonna be great. So thank you for sharing. Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate you showing up today, and I hope that you learned something, and I appreciate you all, and here's to much success in open houses for you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you
guys.
so much.
Thanks,
you.
Jess.
Mhm.
Thank you, Jessica.
You're welcome.